This morning, the pound has slipped after the Brexit vote over the weekend. And Ben is in the city this morning talking about uncertainty surrounding that with his big BBC Breakfast umbrella. Morning, Ben.
Yeah, morning to you. The heavens have opened down here in central London, but take a look at that glorious view this morning. We're in the shadow of St Paul's here in the city of London, where they're trying to work out what happened over the weekend, to try and work out whether we're any further forward in terms of getting some answers to all those questions that business has about the deal, and whether there is still a possibility of a no-deal exit from the European Union, because that's one of the biggest fears, not only for investors but also for the value of sterling, but for businesses just trying to work out what happens next. So let me introduce you to two people with us up on the roof this morning. Claer Barrett, who's a personal finance editor at the Financial Times, and Ian Wright from the Food and Drink Federation. Morning to you both. Claer, look, are we any further forward? I said there, look, no real answers yet. Lots of debate over the weekend, lots of headlines, but no real solutions to the concerns that this place has about Brexit.
Absolutely. We're still in this all too familiar Brexit holding pattern where the government's adverts might say get ready for Brexit, but the answer of business and of individuals is, well, get ready for what? Is it going to be a no deal? Is it going to be the deal that they may vote on today? Is it going to be a second referendum, or is it going to be a general election? So this mood of uncertainty, much like the dark clouds over the city of London this morning, persists. And the problem with that is that businesses feel like they can't make decisions, and in fact the main decision that they can make is not to do stuff. So not to hire people, not to invest. The level of business investment has flatlined since the referendum in 2016, and that of course is limiting economic growth and causing lots of worry for people individually about whether they could be made redundant or lose their jobs, and that's affecting our spending.
Yeah, and absolutely, you're nodding along, Ian, there. For your members in the food and drink industry, one of our biggest, one that relies on lots of imports and lots of exports, still no clarity about what they need to be thinking about.
Well, that's quite right. Uncertainty is a big problem here, and we still don't know whether it's no deal, although I think it's most unlikely to be no deal on the 31st of October, but it could easily be no deal at the end of the transition period at the end of 2020. On the other hand, our members want to balance up the uncertainty against scrutiny of the deal that we've got. It's extraordinary that you wouldn't buy a house with just 2 weeks' notice without sending in the surveyors and the experts, and yet we're being asked to approve this deal in just 2 weeks. So we want to see it subject to proper scrutiny.
Yeah, and that transition period, Claer, that Ian's talking about, that creeping closer, because actually the time we've got for that transition period gets shorter and shorter the longer this delay goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. So 14 months now until the end of 2020. So businesses have been very focused on, the disruption that a no-deal exit could cause, but kind of like the secondary worry is that transition period going to be long enough to sort out big relationships with trade, regulation, the new environment that they'll be trading in, and not knowing these quite short-term decision-making necessities means the need to delay those decisions is just increasing all the more.
Yeah, and Ian, I'm sort of worried about asking you about what members want, because I suppose it's just some answers, some clarity, but what is it that they tell you that they need to hear from government right now? Because you speak for a lot of members in the food and drink industry. Yeah,
what they want is to know how we're going to get a comprehensive free trade agreement with our biggest customer and biggest supplier, Europe. That is the most important thing. Many of my members would want to be in a customs union, so the debate on that today being reopened is a good thing. We're perfectly open to free trade agreements with other countries. After all, we negotiated TTIP, which would have been an American free trade deal with the whole of the EU. Now, for political reasons, that went west. But there's still that opportunity. But first of all, and absolutely the keystone, is a European free trade agreement.
Nice to see you both. We'll talk more a little later, but Claer and Ian, thanks very much indeed. So there you have it. Look, lots of questions, still very few answers right now. We're going to talk more about this, and we're going to look at your personal finances after 8 o'clock as well, about what difference any of this could make to the money in your pocket. So before that, though, we're going to get the news, the travel and the weather while you're watching Breakfast this morning. See you soon.